What's up, YouTube? This is Guy, and today I have a little bit of a sad review video to do. It's both I'm both happy about it and it's a little bit sad. And the reason why is because of what is in the box. Inside this box is a watch that's on loan from a viewer that's loaned me multiple watches in the past. And I truly appreciate all of the support that he's given me over the last several months of working on my YouTube channel. So thank you very much to him. I really do appreciate it. So what is in the box? Well, it is a discontinued Seiko JDM model. It is the reference SARG011. And yeah, the reason why this is a little bit of a sad video for me is that I really like this watch. It's been on my short list of watches to get, and a couple months ago maybe, Seiko went ahead and discontinued this model and its brother model, the SARG009. Again, this is the SARG011. Now, briefly, the difference between the 009 and the 011 that's on the table, the 009 comes on a bracelet as opposed to the leather strap that this one comes on, but if you looked closely, you'll see that the 009 dial was a little bit different. This is a matte dial on this watch, and the 009 has kind of like a more glossy, I think it's kind of got a sunburst finish to it. And then for whatever reason, the second hands are a little different. The second hand on this watch has the red tip, which you can probably see there. But otherwise, they're very similar watches. They look almost identical. But yeah, Seiko's kind of going crazy, discontinuing watch models that I personally think are really good. In particular, the one here that's on the table. I'm going to go ahead and give you a quick look at the box. It's a JDM box if you're familiar with them. It's usually this gray box with the tan pillow. Let's see if we can get that to sit nicely. Probably not. I'll just go ahead and set it upside down for a second. The hang tags that come on this watch, if you're interested in seeing those, pretty typical. The first one here, you got the reference number over on the right, SARG011, and the price in yen. And then this other hang tag that is in all Japanese, so no idea what that says. We'll go ahead and get that off the table, take the watch off of the pillow, and zoom in a little bit closer and talk more about this really cool piece. So right off the bat, we'll knock the specs out, get that out of the way. We have a case diameter of 40.5 millimeters. We have an overall thickness of about 12.5 millimeters. The lug width on this watch is 20 millimeters, and the lug-to-lug from the top to the bottom here comes in at 47 millimeters. Overall, dimensions and proportions on this watch to me feel slightly large, but it's very close to being right on the money in my opinion. It is just ever so slightly oversized. This does have a sapphire crystal, which is pretty common in the SAR series of watches that come out from Seiko, be it the SARB, in this case the SARG. This is not exactly a domed crystal, but if you look at that crystal, it is kind of curved. It's not a flat crystal by any means, so it's nice though. It looks good. It's very clear, very crisp, very legible. Overall, I like the crystal quite a bit. We do have a date complication at the 3 o'clock position, as you can see right there. White text on a black date dial. It's a little bit small, but we'll talk about that more in a bit. We do have an exhibition case back, which is fairly common on Seiko's watches, that displays the 6R15 movement that's inside of this watch. 100 meter water resist, but no screw down crown, so always be cautious about getting your non-screw-down crown watches wet, of course. We'd have a Lumibright, Seiko's glow-in-the-dark luminescent paint, on the handset and the indices on the dial. The markers, indices, whatever you want to call them. And of course it comes on this black leather strap. The strap features a pretty nice, if I'm being honest, pretty nice dual push button deployment butterfly clasp, which I'll show you that more a little bit later on in the review video. That's the basic specs that I can give you on this watch. There's not a whole lot going on here. What's really the thing to talk about is, in my opinion, the quality and the design of this watch. I think that the quality is quite good, which, again, if you're familiar with the SAR watches, be it the SARBs, very, very popular and previously reviewed. The quality on those watches, and this one as well, it's quite good. If we look at the case first, the first thing that I noticed was the polishing on the sides of the case. First things first, the bezel is a smooth bezel. It's not a rotating bezel, or just a smooth fixed bezel, but it's brushed finish. That's kind of interesting. Usually when I see a smooth bezel watch, the bezel is polished, but in this case it's sort of reversed from what I see to be kind of typical of this style watch. We have a nice brushed finish on the bezel here, whereas on the sides of the case, of a really decent quality, I'd call it almost high quality polished finish. There's probably more fingerprints on there than there needs to be, so I'm not giving you guys a great look. Give me a second to wipe the watch off. I mean, it is almost a mirror-like finish, and it's got this really cool geometry going on where there's kind of a faint line, almost a bevel. So you have, it's probably difficult to see on camera. Maybe that's a better angle. You can see there's like a separation right down the center of the case. So you have the polish that goes all the way over both bevels, but yeah, that's interesting. Something you can't really see in pictures when you look at this watch online. Although, I mean, you're going to be buying this watch on the aftermarket since it's been discontinued a few months ago. I don't see them for sale retail anywhere. So good luck finding them, and get out there and find them quick if you want to get one, is my opinion. But the case is very, very nicely finished. It is just a little bit large, in my opinion. It's a little bit bulkier. This isn't exactly a field watch, but I'm going to put it in that kind of category. It's certainly not a dress watch. And for a field watch, it does come in feeling a little bit on the large size. To me, your mileage may vary there. So while I'm not absolutely in love with the proportions, the fit and finish of it is excellent. I did briefly tell you guys that the case back is an exhibition window. I'll give you a closer look at that. It's nothing too seriously interesting, but you can see the 6R15 moving in there. Briefly, specs about the 6R15. 21,600 vibrations per hour, plus or minus -15 to plus 25 seconds per day in accuracy. Power reserve of around 50 hours. I forget what the joule count is on this. I think it says it. 23 joules. It says it on the rotor there. My buddy that loaned this to me left the sticker on, so there's some Japanese writing over here. That's the caseback sticker, so that's not on the glass there. But yeah, that's your exhibition window and a little bit of info about the movement. 6R15's, in my opinion, a pretty good movement. I haven't had any problems with any of mine. Overall, I've been impressed with them, to be honest. We can also talk about the crown, since we're discussing the case, the crown here, signed with the Seiko S. This movement is hand winding and hacking, so while the crown isn't screwed down, you can hand wind it just by giving it a couple of, spins. They say if it's completely dead, 40 roughly rotations, full rotations of the crown should completely charge up the power reserve. It is also a hacking movement, so if we pull out the crown to the first position, we could quick set the date, pull it out to the second position, and the movement stops, and we can set the time. It's getting close to midnight here, so the date is going to flip. If you want to see that, it started flipping already. 11 o'clock, it's about halfway flipped, and right around 12, it flips over to the 27th. The action setting, the hand set, it's very good, very crisp, very clean. I've had other watches where when you're trying to precisely set the hands, there's like a lot of wobble when you release it, to get it right dead set on a hash mark there. It's difficult. This watch doesn't have that problem at all. Push the crown back into the seated position, and of course the movement starts right back up. Yeah, overall the aesthetics on the case, the fit and finish, again, I'm very impressed with it. I think it's maybe one of the better Seikos in the regard of fit and finish. I mean, I've looked at so many, but this is towards the top of the list anyway. It's really well done. Now, zooming in here on the handset and the dial, this is sort of what attracted me to the watch in the pictures. I just really like the layout of this dial. You have these big, bold indices, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. The odd numbers just have a rectangular marker. So the one, a little tiny one at the 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. All of the markers and the handset feature Seiko's LumiBright. I'll roll in some video or a picture of the Lume in action. It is, of course, Seiko LumiBright, high quality, very bright, very long lasting. It's excellent, no complaints there whatsoever. There's also a little pip of Lume on the counterbalance of the second hand there, which is typical for Seiko. They do that on their second hands that have the little lollipop on the counterbalance side. But the dial, and it's not really going to show well, I think, in my lighting and on my camera. It's this really nice black matte finish. It's almost like a really charcoaly gray. It's not like inky super dark black to my eyes, but it's very, very nice. I like the dial quite a bit. I've never seen the 009, and like I said, that one, the dial is a little bit different. It's kind of a glossy sunburst black. This one, I think, well, since I haven't seen the other one, I can't say for sure. But based on pictures, and then, of course, based on this one in real life, I think I prefer this dial. My friend, when he picked this watch up, I think he made the right choice. And then the flick of red highlight at the tip of the second hand, just, I don't know, it's a nice touch. It adds a little visual interest to the overall kind of monochromatic theme of this watch. I think that was pretty cool. Whereas the 009 version, the one that comes on the bracelet, doesn't have that red tip. It's just a white or kind of off-white, just like the rest of the markers and indices. Chapter ring on the outer edge of the dial, I like it quite a bit. I'm always a fan of these sort of busy chapter rings with the Arabic numerals for the 5, 10, 15, 20, etc. Second markers. It's painted on or printed on very nicely, but what I want to show you is, so you have the sort of more prominent hash marks at each individual second, and then it looks like about every 5th second there's a lighter gray hash mark for each of those 5th seconds between each second. It looks good. Really close like this, you can see it. When it's on your wrist far away, you don't almost even notice all those little hash marks as much. Down at the very, very bottom, you see Japanese, Japan 6R15-0 something something. I can't even read that, it's so small. Of course, there's the Seiko branding at the 12 o'clock position on this dial. That's an applied logo. It looks really good. None of the other markers or indices are applied. Looks like they're all just kind of printed on. Maybe they are. If we get really close in there, they do stand up off of the dial slightly, but they're not like a traditional applied marker with some sort of metallic outline if they are applied. I almost can't even tell. The date window is framed with this sort of gunmetal gray metal frame. That looks cool, but it is a little small. So you got that white text on the black dial, date wheel, and then this small window. It's not hard to read, but it doesn't really stand out either. That may be a plus or a minus depending on who you ask, I guess. In my opinion, it's kind of a minus. I think it could be slightly bigger just to be a bit more legible. But yeah, and then at the very bottom there we have the automatic 23 jewel printing. Everything on this dial is executed quite well. Very impressed with it, and of course just the overall aesthetic and the look of it, again, I find very appealing. It's not a traditional field watch, and if we look at the Hamilton watch that I'm wearing, some kind of side by side here, that's a very traditional field watch. But this Seiko has a flavor of that to me. It's more of a field kind of tool watch than it is a dress watch, and if those are the two genres that it's competing with, that's what I'm going to call it. Field watch, maybe a outdoors adventure watch, something like that. But I find it to be a very, very attractive layout. And again, it's just a darn shame that Seiko decided to discontinue this model, because I don't see myself paying a super premium for it, but I regret not getting it while the prices were still right. You know, it is a shame. What else can we say about this watch? I guess the strap and the clasp, I can go over that briefly with you guys. It's not super, super high quality. It's an okay quality leather strap. The stitching is decent. The first keeper is sewn in. It's fixed. It doesn't move. The second keeper, though, it's a little loose, so when it's on your wrist, it's flopping around a bit. A little bit of a negative. But what is pretty nice about it, I was going to say what is good about it, but what is really actually fairly nice about it is this clasp. And it is a dual button deployment butterfly clasp. I'm going to go ahead and fasten it down. It is stainless steel, brushed finish with the Seiko logo. And you just have two buttons on either side to deploy it. And yeah, it's going to eliminate a lot of the wear and tear that you get on your leather straps by undoing and redoing the buckle that lashes through the hole that you use on a daily basis. This always stays lashed and you don't have to undo it and redo it over and over again. If you do want to change it though, it's super simple. You just flip this little piece apart and get the little nub out, and you just slide it to the hole that you want to use. I'll just keep it where it is, but you know, you get it. Slide it to the hole you want, and well, I'm having difficulties doing it through the camera viewfinder, and then clamp it down, and it's just that simple. Again, the only real negative that I have is this keeper. It's really loose. It just flops right off all the time, so it ends up over in this area when it's on your wrist more often than not. But that's really common with lower quality straps, and this is a lower quality strap. The leather's only just okay. I don't even know if it is inscribed on the inner area. I guess it says it's calf skin leather. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. Not awesome, but better than I was expecting. I would probably keep it on this strap just because I like the buckle so much, or I would transfer that buckle to maybe a higher quality leather strap if I wanted to spend a little extra money. But I think it's decent enough that I would just keep it as is. Of course, it would look excellent on a NATO strap, so there's always the potential to mix it up from day to day, throw it on a NATO or something just for fun. This is, again, a great watch. I like it quite a bit, and I'm super fortunate to have had it on loan to do this video. I wish that Seiko did not discontinue this model. I think it's crazy, but maybe it just didn't sell well. Maybe I'm in the minority of people that thinks that it's a really sharp, nice looking watch. But they're out there on the secondhand market. If you're looking for them, I recommend get out there and find it sooner rather than later. And yeah, I give it 2 thumbs up. It's quite nice. Well, guys, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. I as always, enjoy comments. So if you guys have any questions, comments, or anything else that you want to add to my video, throw it down below. I try to do my best to respond. In the notes section below this video, I'll have links to my social media accounts, be it Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course Patreon. If you guys want to support the channel, head over to any one of those sites and follow me, hook up with me on, over there. Thanks a lot again. I appreciate it, and I'll be back with another video later in the week, possibly early next week. All right, bye now.